Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar by the Jerusalem Press Club. I am Jonathan Beck, Director of Content. This is a retry of a webinar we started 28 minutes ago about Druze community in Syria. My question was the tensions between the Druze community and the new Sunni regime of Ahmed al-Shara have been around for some time. If you can take us through what happened 10 days ago that was the spark that ignited the increase in tensions, the Israeli intervention, and what happened since, and what we're likely to see perhaps in coming days.
Thank you. So I want to remind you that this new government wanted all minorities to integrate, to be part of the new Syria under the new government. Under the new one-colored government of the Sunni, the majority are Sunni government and officials, plus minus most of the positions. Now, the Druze community wanted to integrate, but they are not sure till the moment that this regime will be the right one to lead Syria and to keep the safety of all minorities, especially after what have happened in the seaside with the Alawites. While they were called to integrate and to put aside their arm, the new regime wanted to disarm the Druze community. They refused. They said, okay, we will disarm our people later on. But first of all, we have to see the signs that this new Syria is good for everybody, for all the Syrians. This was the debate. The new government is supported by Turkey, that are directing right now from behind almost everything that is happening with this new government. And unfortunately, they chose to attack the three Druze towns that are close to the Damascus from the southern side. And there are something like 200,000 Druze in those three villages. They were under attack. Sahnaya had a very deep damage, collapsed as well. It could not really continue fighting those new militias. But Jaramana, the other town, is still strong with the Druze militants that are somehow keeping the security of the community there in front of the governmental side that are attacking them. This is the situation right now.
Can you tell us what are these what forces are they using?
They have two kinds of forces. First of all, they have their intelligence together with the Hayat Tahrir Sham, the name of the official political side, that are coming to the community and calling them to be part of the state, part of the government, politically speaking. But together with them, there are the militias that have been part of the IS in the past. They are really savage and very rude in their way of the behavior with the people. They came with those savageries, and they are threatening really the people. You could see them talking with the new media with the people in order to prepare them and to come and fight them. So there are two different forces. One tends to be somehow diplomatic, and the other is very radical and very the militants of the past, that they are much more militias than an official army. They turn to the south, to the Druze mountain, where the majority are located there of the Druze, and they wanted to occupy somehow the mountain. We are talking about the Druze mountain is something like as big as Lebanon, plus minus. It's a very large area in the south triangle of the borders between Israel, Jordan, and Israel.
How
Um,
much of the community inside that area is Sunni and how much is Druze relatively?
the majority are Druze at the moment. There are 500,000 people in that area. Um, they have their armory, but it's not as strong as it should be in order to face and stand in front of those militias. So here we were very much concerned. A lot were damaged. Part of the villages on the east side, on the west side. Unfortunately, they're neighbors of the past that they have been part of a very good neighborhood somehow. They also participated against the Druze together with those militias. Not everybody, but a lot of the militants there. The Sunni and the Bedouin became a part of this new coalition of Syria. It's very risky for all minorities. And here the Druze raises their voice calling for international involvement to protect them, first of all, protection. They wanted the world, the free world, to understand that here they are watching something like a genocide, potentially can be very much dangerous to them and to their existence. And of course, they turn to Israel, that Israel cannot keep because this situation, because Israel, from their point of view, from the Syrian Druze point of view, Israel is a liberal state, and the Jewish people cannot accept this situation that there is genocide for a party in any minority in the Middle East, but in particular the Druze minority that potentially can be very good allies and friends of the state of Israel. So they also turned to Israel in order to get help. Of course, the Druze community in Israel were very much active those last 10 days, connecting to the community in Syria, political pressure on the Israeli government that it really achieved very good results where Israel decided to somehow to help. And they also raises the voice to the international community, and in particular to the White House, to the Republican administration, to be aware of what's going on there and to prevent massacres, to prevent genocide in Syria.
Okay, thank you for this. Can you tell us what Israel has done so far and what is the scope of what it can do? I mean, I know I think it was on Friday that Israel struck targets not far from the official palace in Damascus. Were these like symbolic targets, or what is the intelligence that Israel has on those Sunni forces attacking the Jews, etc.? What is it actually doing militarily?
Yeah, we have to remember that Israel as a state has also its interest, okay, with and without connection to the Israeli situation, to the Druze situation in Syria. Uh, the declaration of this government of Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister, and the defense minister was that the new regime cannot deploy militarily from Damascus to the south. The first statement. The other, we will protect the Druze community because of the good connection with the Druze community in Israel, and potentially they can be a part of the good side of the world. Okay, when they are not radical, they want peace, they seek peace, and the good neighborhood, etc. So those two statements were heard very good in Damascus. But on the other side, you are not fighting, and you are not here watching the new government as an enemy only. There is a big rival, which is a regional state like Turkey that has also its aspiration to intervene in Syria. They are coming to Syria as part of the imperial maybe plan that they are right now setting. They want to be part of the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, and in particular after the withdrawal of the Persian forces from Syria, they are going to replace them as the new patron of the new government. And unfortunately, they have also the same strategy towards ethnic and religious minorities that were this time so much under threat with this new guidance of Turkey. So here they actually the competition is between the regional states, and this time between Israel and Turkey, who is going to dominate Syria. Where is the line that each state can draw that it's the area of its hegemony and its dominance. Israel has said Damascus is the place, Damascus to the south. Nobody can intervene here, nobody can deploy here. And more than that, Israel had said when it attacked also the T4 camps up north beside Homs, that other states, and of course Turkey, cannot build a military air base that can somehow bring a lot of disorder to our air superiority in the Middle East that we need so much as a defense strategy as the state of Israel. So here, the competition is not only those new minorities under threat. The competition is between the regional states, Turkey and Israel.
Okay, so taking it from there, I mean, initially when Julani al-Shara took over Syria, then Israel wielded a very big stick, saying, don't touch the Druze community and keep the south of Syria demilitarized or else, which is a kind of diplomatic speak of saying we'll use force to repel you. But now, when we're actually, in it, so to speak, and Israel has struck and some sort of clash has begun, then the question is what is the scope practically, of what kind of targets is in strike? I mean, is Israel going to deploy ground forces, for example, things like that? Is it going to help the Jews arm themselves or with training or like in Operation Good Neighbor, give them like just logistical support? And the second question that I wanted to touch on, which is not directly related, is I've read reports that the Druze community in Syria is not unified in wanting Israel to intervene, and so that some of them actually see eye to eye with the regime. So can you shed a light on that division inside the Druze community in Syria also?
Yeah. So the first question, Israel is not going to send ground forces to the Druze, we call it, the Druze area. No, the support is by maybe arming the Druze community in order to protect themselves, not to attack others. To get medical treatments as a field hospital or something. Thank you. So Israel is not going to intervene in Syria or to send ground forces. The help of Israel is by supporting the Druze community, by arming them in order to protect themselves, giving the Druze community in Syria medical aid at the field hospital or so. Of course, declaring, politically speaking, the need of those sub-state communities that the rest of the free world has to understand this situation, and this political help also is very, very important. Israel is part of some kind of a political coalition of the Abraham Accord, the Arab moderate states like Jordan and like the Gulf states that see eye to eye the situation in Syria. They want to continue the peace process. They want to avoid this domination of those radical Islamism, and of course the Brotherhood that are supported by Qatar, Turkey, in order to via Gaza Strip, in order to bring disorder that can be very much risky to the stability of the economy and the military in Israel and in the region. They understand this strategy. So this strategic depth is very important for those new minorities that can rely on the same strategy, and they are the only side that can protect them, especially Israel. Israel has attacked from the air some targets. There are drones all over, and the first thing that happened that Israel attacked beside the palace of the new president in Damascus, something like 400 meters from the palace. This strike was a warning one to Damascus to sign once again that what we declare as a policy in Syria is very serious. You cannot deploy to the south of Damascus, and you cannot harm anymore the local communities that should be part of the new state and should be protected by the state.
Okay, so I understand. I mean, understand Israel should be part of a wider coalition, and you mentioned countries that are in the Abraham Accords, like the UAE. But are these actually, Israel's defense minister Israel Katz has taken quite an adversarial position against Syria from the start. He said, "We don't trust this regime. We're suspicious of it. We're going to give it a chance, etc." And Israel has kinetically acted in Syria. So a country like the UAE, I'm not sure about its history with Julani. I mean, he's quite a clever diplomat. So are they like firmly and openly in opposition to what is going on now in Syria? And have they said we're going to intervene on behalf of the Druze? Are we going to see like UAE soldiers fighting side by side with IDF soldiers or the Druze in Syria?
I don't think so. I think that those states can support some kind of economic strategy or a plan in South Syria in order to stabilize the situation, in order to defend by this new atmosphere a kingdom like Jordan. That the stability of Jordan is part of the stability of the Gulf states, and if one monarchy collapses, maybe there are very strong ramifications for the stability of others. So in this sense, they would much more influence with their money, with their strategy, with the politics, the stability and the safety of those minorities rather than fighting militarily. The Druze can protect themselves in their region, but they need the umbrella of state behind to be part of a coalition that have the same strategy, the same horizon, that they are part of that. We can see that Jordan till the minute is not active enough in this sense, and it should be, because it's a crucial state for helping logistically the south of Syria, either the Druze or others. It should be part of this new plan, and it's not at the moment. We expect Jordan to be an active part of this new strategy. We expect also the USA to be supporting also this new idea of stabilizing economically the situation, to bring upon a new life that can be optimistic and safe enough and stabilized enough in South Syria, and this will bring stability, and then later on this can improve the economy, and together all those efforts can also maybe bring the desired change in Syria, where another government must take over with the other values, with other strategy. There are a lot of good moderate Sunni people in Syria that can be part of that, and of course not guided by the brothers that want to also act against the stability of the regimes in the Gulf. They watch Jordan, the Hashemite kingdom, as an enemy. There's a very long history between the Ottomans, the Turks of the past, and those regimes. There are really rivalry among them. They do not totally see eye to eye the situation now in the Middle East.
Okay, so I'm gonna just repeat the question that I asked before, and also it came now from reported with a Swiss paper about Not all parts of the Druze community in Syria want Israel to intervene, and some of them would prefer that it didn't intervene. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, we have to understand that traditionally there are five sites in the Druze area that are part of the traditional leadership of the Druze mountain. There are five families, three religious and two are emirs, okay, of big families, different places. Um, uh, so the religious people are Al-Hajri and then Jarbu, and the third is Hinawi, and the emirs, they are the Atrash and then Amir, okay, the names of the families. Now, together, they have to decide what is the strategy, what should be done. There are other militias, militant people that were part of the protection of those area over the last decade, and they became somehow part of the political also influence and the system in the mountain. Together with them, there is the military headquarters. Previous officers, high-ranking officers in the Syrian army that left the army. The army is not there anymore. It's a new situation, and they are trying to recruit those soldiers that remain there with the military experience in order to build a military strategy of protection of the mountain. We tend much more to support those professional people to build a new protection of the mountain. So they maybe there are some misunderstandings between some leaders inside the mountain, but by and large, I must say that they are united around the vision, they are united around the serious issues. Yes, but this particular issue that to call upon Israeli influence or intervention or not, some of them tend much more to still to play the game under the Syrian umbrella. Of course, generally speaking, and as a declared statement, and some of them are saying loudly, Syria is not going to be anymore same Syria. Israel is here. Uh, we do not want to hide that. We are part of the new strategy, like the Palestinians, like the moderate Arab states. They are good friends to Israel, and we also tend to be part of this alliance in the future. This is the higher voice now in the Jabal Druze that want to be good friend of Israel, good friend of the Arab states, and together part of this new coalition.
Okay, I have another question here from Reuters about reports the Druze leaders in Ashrafia Sanaya have agreed to disarm the community, the militias, and to align with the Syrian government. The question is Israel likely to be concerned about that and take action if this would happen? Maybe as a member of the community, you can give us, direct source of information here.
Yeah, first of all, this area is very highly populated, and it's really not easy to act even from the air and to be accurate in this sense. And unfortunately, the Druze community in Ashrafil Sahnaya are under a very high risk and pressure of those forces that are imposing this actually decision to be part of the Syrian military. They are imposed to do that and to declare that. Unfortunately, I think that they have a lot of a very big dilemma regarding their future, whether to remain there among those large numbers of Sunni people that a lot of them tend to be extreme and not good friend to them, or rather to move to the Jabal Druze to the south and to leave those areas. That's a big dilemma. They are part of the region. They are the original citizens in both towns. But time to tell, if the good scenario will happen. I mean, this government will be replaced by reasonable government that protect everybody in Syria and that also acknowledge everybody as a legitimate side, Druze minority or Druze Alawi, or the Alawites or others, and will be protected by the state. So they will remain and then continue where they are, part of the same history, the same place. But unfortunately, if things will be still risky, they will not, take this risk, and they will be likely much more to leave those areas. And then this will maybe push the division of Syria ahead, where the south will be not part of the new Syria. The Alawites will be under the Russian supervision on the seaside, the Kurds under the American protection and help to the east side of the river. And then the Druze will be here in this triangle together with Israel and maybe with Jordan in the future. But who will remain in Damascus is only the Turks and those radical militias of those Sunni area. Unfortunately, for Syria, it's not the same Syria that is expected to be. And I think that this is the scenario that's going to happen.
Okay, thank you for this very much. I just have one last question. There was a report today about some sort of clash between Israeli and Turkish jets. I don't think it was a dogfight, but there was maybe some kind of warning sortie or now again, going back to the question of like what Israel can do now, also which enemies it faces. How far will Israel and Syria and Turkey play this kind of game of chicken in Syria? Is there a likelihood of Israel descending into a serious war with Turkey, a country with a modern American Air Force?
Well, this scenario is it's a high risk, very high risk for the two states. It should be prevented because Turkey is part of NATO. Is also till the moment anyway, it's still considered an ally of United States of America and Europe, and it should behave like that. And she cannot watch Israel as an enemy. Okay, maybe there are a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of issues, a lot of topics regarding Syria, regarding minorities, maybe Gaza, the war in Gaza, maybe the Palestinian solution, etc., etc. We can understand that they're, after all, part of the Muslim world. But when it comes to militarily a clash and the death as well between the two armies, it's a big risk for the stability of the whole region. It should be prevented. I think that there was a meeting in Baku between the Israelis and the Turks talking about the Syrian case. I think that there is a need for one further meeting that's going to happen again in Baku. And I think that the U.S. administration is trying to somehow to bridge those misunderstandings, because this will harm, after all, the American strategy in the Middle East and weaken the alliance of the U.S. In the region. But on the other hand, we are very much concerned to hear Turkey or some part of the Turkey officials of the past declaring that the way to Jerusalem passes in Damascus. And to hear that from Israel, you cannot hear that from friends of the past and part of the alliance that you are part of, that the American and European democracies. Everything is shifting right now. It's we have to open a big eye on what Turkey is declaring, saying, and of course behaving in Turkey. As Druze, we have a lot of materials that are part of the preparing to go to the ICC and the ICJ, International Court of Justice, because we know that the headquarters of the Turkey army in Damascus had led and supported those attacks against the Druze, and innocent lives were gone, and this trial is still open. And not only Israel goes to the ICC and the ICJ because of Gaza. Here again, those people that are blaming Israel for doing war crimes have also explained what kind of strategy they are setting in Syria.
Okay, final question is again from the Swiss paper. You earlier talked about Syria being splintered into different autonomous or independent sub-states or entities. Is this, apart from kind of an organic development, is this a scenario that you think the Israeli government would like to see happening in Syria? And are its interventions aimed at creating such a scenario?
Well, I think that it's consequently is of the realistic politics that we are watching. We have to remember that those components of this Syrian society had lived 54 years under a dictator, the Assad family, and before that there were successive military coups in Syria after the independence of the new state that was part of Sykes-Picot, and then before that was the mandate. They were not totally independent. And then when we go before that to the 400 years of the Ottoman Empire, so those communities have not do not have the good experience of living together and building in a real nation state. It's much more in state nation, a geography that everybody that happened to be there became part of the new state that called Syria. But unfortunately, they are not succeeding now in living together. And the partition is the only horizon in the real politics that we are watching. So it's not the interference externally that is exploiting the situation only. This radical Islamism cannot build a moderate state, cannot build a democracy, cannot bring a reality that those little minorities that, but very much influential and very much experience that have been a long way part of the regime, part of the political leadership in the Middle East to accept such a new regime. So partition is the only horizon that I'm watching.
Okay, I understand. Thank you very much for this. And thank you for your time, Dr. Anan Wahabi. I would like to thank Matthias Sakal for overseeing the production of this webinar. And again, thank you, Dr. Wahabi. I hope we're going to see, some clarity coming out of Syria and peace for the Druze community there.